the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history, the president's response to the tragedy, and preparation for Debo's retirement. This is OU Nightly.
Brutally murdered more than 50 people and wounded hundreds more. It was an act of pure evil. Our unity cannot be shattered by evil. Our bonds cannot be broken by violence. And though we feel such great anger at the senseless murder of our fellow citizens, it is our love that defines us today and always will. Forever.
The White House ordered all flags to be flown at half-staff on federal buildings.
The president and the First Lady plan to visit Las Vegas on Wednesday after their trip to Puerto Rico tomorrow.
At an open-air concert near the Las Vegas Strip, last night gunfire broke out as Jason Aldean played. Many said they thought it was part of the show. Pyrotechnic or they thought that they were fireworks, but reality would soon set in for the 22,000 music fans as they realized a gunman had turned a concert into chaos. Gunfire rained down from a 32nd floor room in the Mandalay Bay Hotel.
At least 58 people are dead as of right now, and more than 500 were injured. It is now the nation's deadliest mass shooting. And officers later found the gunman dead on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino. Investigators are just now getting to know who the gunman was and his motives. Harlee Toothman joins us now with more information on the gunman. Harlee?
Police have identified the Vegas gunman as 64-year-old Stephen Paddock. Police say Paddock, who lived in Mesquite, Nevada, had at least 10 rifles in his hotel room. He'd been staying at the casino resort since September 28th. SWAT team members broke down the door of Paddock's room. They found Paddock dead, and they believe he committed suicide. Paddock's father was a known bank robber who is on the FBI's most wanted list for 8 years. Reporters spoke to the gunman's brother, Eric Paddock, this morning, where he stated that he was horrified with his brother's reactions.
I mean, my brother did this. This is like it was done, like he shot us. I mean, if he'd have killed my kids, I couldn't be more dumbfounded.
Steve had nothing to do with any political organization, religious organization, no white supremacists, nothing, as far as I know.
ISIS claimed responsibility for the shooting but offered no proof to the U.S. Public figures responded to the massacre via social media, including country singer Jason Aldean, who was performing when the first shots were fired. Aldean took to Instagram saying he and his crew were safe and that last night was beyond horrific. Other public figures offered their condolences on Twitter, such as Vice President Mike Pence and TV personality Al Roker. In a morning address to the nation today, the president praised Las Vegas police and first responders, saying their professionalism saved lives.
I want to thank the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and all of the first responders for their courageous efforts and for helping to save the lives of so many. The speed with which they acted is miraculous and prevented further loss of life. To have found the shooter so quickly after the first shots were fired is something for which we will always be thankful and grateful.
We're continuing to follow developments on this terrible story out of Nevada here in the News Center. But for now, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Harlee. And one of the positive notes today was all the people who lined up to give blood after the aftermath. With such a large number of victims, blood for transfusions was desperately needed.
Sounds like people are doing what they can to help with the situation, Joe. Well, let's take a break from this story and check in with Caroline Brown on what Norman can expect weather-wise this week. Caroline?
Yes, Sammy, it's been a very hot and gusty day here in Oklahoma. Some places, Ardmore has even gotten up to 88, and they're still rising. We could get up to 90. So we're about 10 degrees above average for this time of year. The good news is we have a cold front that's pushing its way across the United States. It's expected to get here around Tuesday evening. So starting on Tuesday, the rain is going to start to fall, and it's going to continue to fall throughout the rest of the week, with the highest chance for flooding on Wednesday. Now, we could see up to 3 inches of rain in some places. Coming up, I'll give you more information on the cold front because we actually have 2 in our forecast, and I'll let you know where and when we're expecting these rains to come.
I like the sound of a cold front, Caroline. Thanks. OU Board of Regents met yesterday for a special meeting to discuss the details of President Boren's retirement. Most of the meeting revolved around the selection committee, who will ultimately choose OU's next president. The members decided to keep the same composition as 23 years ago, with a diverse group of students, faculty, and staff. Chairman Clayton Bennett said the system has worked in the past and is confident it will work again. Next step is to find the people to fill it.
So the next step will be to populate that committee. So these various positions, we will receive nominations from the university community, and we'll discuss those and make those selections.
The board is accepting nominations through this Friday. They hope to have the committee selected by the next meeting, which is set for October 24th.
And Alton Nolan will spend the rest of his life in prison. An Oklahoma jury recommended several life sentences for Nolan, the man who beheaded his coworker and attacked another in 2014. Jurors agreed Nolan should serve 3 life sentences plus 130 years in prison for his assault of the coworker. Nolan was convicted Friday of the murder of Colleen Hufford. He still faces the possibility of a death sentence on that charge.
And still ahead on OU Nightly, what's going to be the effect on tourism in the Sin City after this shooting?
Plus, the Honors College and its book sale will all go to a good cause. We'll tell you more next. Stay with us.
Tulsa police arrested a 16-year-old on complaints of murder, armed robbery, and sexual assault. Officers have identified the teen as Deontay Green, and reports say that Green kidnapped and robbed an elderly couple. Following the robbery, police say Green sexually assaulted the woman and later killed a 44-year-old man in a nearby home.
And after today's events, what will the Las Vegas massacre do to affect tourism in the Sin City? Shea Smith joins us now with Money Matters. Shea?
Yes, that's right. The shooting on Sunday shocked the nation, but will it affect tourism in Vegas? Last year, Southern Nevada had nearly 43 million tourists and plan to exceed that this year. Vegas is the 9th biggest employer of hospitality and leisure workers in the U.S. An experience in Orlando is indicating that the shooting will only have a small effect on tourism. And just like Vegas, Orlando is reliant on tourism. Last year, the city also suffered from a mass shooting at the Pulse nightclub. The city's tourism has seen small impact, which does leave hope for Vegas. And following last night's shooting, gun stocks rose. The stocks usually rally immediately after mass killings, which unfortunately are becoming more common. Sturm Ruger went up nearly 4%, and the company Olin rose 6%, reaching an all-time high. Gun sales overall climbed during the Obama administration, but plunged when President Trump took office. Shares of MGM Resorts also fell almost 6% today as well. But for other stocks, monster hurricanes, North Korea, and political tension has left stocks untouched. The Dow increased another 5% during the third quarter. This extended Dow's winning streak to 8 consecutive winning quarters. This is the longest stock boom since 1997. And looking ahead at the rest of the year, stocks will keep rising. And General Motors is going all electric. The automaker plans to release 2 new electric vehicles within the next 18 months and a total of 20 vehicles over the next 6 years. Not all of their electric vehicles will use batteries, but some will use hydrogen gas as power. So all of these new cars, it's like self-driving, electric cars. I'm ready for flying cars.
Okay.
Oh, me too.
And
Absolutely.
honestly, just to go on like the
for a
whole
while.
economic impact of that stuff, I love the fact that there are more electric cars because that'll mean that we as consumers can buy them for a relatively good price. So
Exactly. And you don't
Future's
have
coming.
to spend gas money because the pump right now is not, man.
Yeah, it puts a dent in your wallet.
It
that is
really
for sure.
does.
Hey,
Well,
no
thank you
kidding.
so much,
Thank you,
Shea.
Shea.
Several thousand books were available for purchase today at the OU Honors College in an event benefiting the OU Food Pantry. The book sale featured the personnel and academic libraries of the Honors College Dean David Ray, as well as donations from the Honors College faculty and staff. Books were available at the starting price of just 10 cents, an incentive for students to load up on a new reading material while benefiting the OU Food Pantry.
The food pantry seemed like an obvious choice. I mean, first, I think for our society, it's an embarrassment that there are college students who don't have enough money to pay tuition and eat food. That's not OU's fault, that's a social problem, and it's partly the fault of states cutting support for education.
Proceeds from today's event were expected to reach up to $1,000, all going to the food pantry.
The United States Supreme Court began its term today in what many are calling a blockbuster term. The court is set to rule on some pivotal cases, and the most influential case is at the top of the docket. Tomorrow begins hearings on Gill versus Whitford, a Wisconsin case centered on controversial redistricting tactics. Redistricting, or gerrymandering, is the redrawing of district lines of benefit of one political candidate or another. While the court generally rules to limit reliance on gerrymandering, there is currently no test of when redrawing districts goes too far. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg calls the case the most important the courts will hear this term. OU Nightly will have more on this case as it develops over this term.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Happy Monday, folks. We're taking a live look outside Johnson Hall here on OU's campus. It's been a beautiful day today. Currently, we're at 85 degrees. Our winds have been very gusty, though. Currently, it's south from 18 miles per hour. Across the rest of the state, very windy, especially in western Oklahoma. So due to the strong winds and those warm temperatures, we do see an elevated fire risk. So if you're planning on grilling tonight, I would watch the open flames closely outdoors due to that high fire risk. Across the state, our temperatures are in the mid-80s, 85 here in Norman with a strong southerly wind. That's going to help keep us warm throughout the evening hours. We're going to drop to about 73 around midnight, staying pretty gusty up to 15 miles per hour. As you're walking out the door to class tomorrow, it's going to be 70 degrees at 8 a.m. Now we're going to warm all the way up to 79, so we're still 10 degrees above average. This is when we're going to start seeing the rain come in due to that front that's going to be pushing its way through. So this is the front making its way across the United States. Tuesday evening is when we're going to start seeing those showers pop up. Now we are expecting a lot of lightning and thunder with this, so I would recommend packing a poncho instead of your umbrella due to all of the lightning. Now, once we get into Wednesday, this is when we could see some localized flooding. Some places could expect to see upwards of 2 to 3 inches. So if you're planning your week out, I would definitely give yourself more time for driving on Wednesday. So this is the look at the expected rainfall through Tuesday at noon. Most places should expect to get around an inch of rain or more. So for the 2-day forecast, Tuesday is going to be mild with PM showers starting to fire up. We're expecting a very wet Wednesday as a cold front pushes its way through. It's going to be wet throughout the week, and we're expecting another cold front to start to push in on Friday, so we might have a pretty wet game day on Saturday morning. But our
Big football weather.
Yeah, it's fall. We need these temperatures.
It's
I
about
like
time.
the 70s. It really is about time.
Yeah, I mean, like, we had a good taste last week, so let's get
Yeah.
the entire season rolling.
Yeah, okay. The rest of the country is on board with fall, so now we're
finally catching
gotta
up.
do it. We
All right,
really do.
thank you, Carolyn.
Okay, thanks, Caroline. And Tori Johnson is here with a look at what's coming up in sports. Tori?
Thanks, Sammy. The Sooners are back to work this weekend after a much-needed break, and Oklahoma's most beloved citizen isn't going anywhere. Thunder fans, how does WrestleMania for 5 more years sound? Hey, don't go anywhere. Sports is up next. OU football took a break this last weekend. After a much-deserved rest, they'll be back on Owen Field Saturday against Iowa State. Last night in Ames, the Sooners left the Cyclones spinning with a 34-24 win in a game that had Sooner fans worried. Superstars Joe Mixon and Smaje Perine were both off the roster for the game, but fullback Dimitri Flowers stepped up big for the Sooners in their absence. Flowers got his first official rushing attempt in the game, then carried the ball 21 more times. He ended with 115 yards, 4 catches, and a 17-yard touchdown. His quarterback and coach are confident he can do it again Saturday.
He's a very versatile athlete, and so he's able to do a lot of things, but at the same time, I never would have imagined it going that smoothly. I mean, he's done a lot of things for us, being able to react, and he's such a smart player that, you know, I probably should have realized that could happen. But, I mean, he really took over the game and made a big difference for us.
A lot of people didn't think I could do it, and, you know, they were just like, wow, I didn't know you could do it. And, I mean, of course, I'm just having that smirk on my face, like, oh, I know I can, like, just stuff like that.
To see a guy go step out on that stage with limited reps and go, I think, rush for 100 yards. He had several big catches. To be able to do all that was, certainly impressive.
OU women's soccer kicked off the Red River rivalry Sunday. The Sooners earned a scoreless draw against the number 8 ranked Longhorns. McKinley Crone had the opportunity to take the win with a free kick, but missed it. Coming within less than 6 yards, Crone redeemed herself in the 85th minute of play by narrowly deflecting a shot by her fingertips. Next up, the Sooners have a 2-game weekend in Ames for another Big 12 matchup with Iowa State. And Sunday, Dallas fans watched in disappointment as their Cowboys fell to the Rams 35-30. LA's running back Todd Gurley and kicker Greg Zuerlein tag-teamed the boys. Gurley finished with 121 yards rushing, 94 receiving, and the go-ahead touchdown on a 53-yard catch and run. And Zuerlein showed he can kick the football a little bit. He had a career-high 7 field goals in the win. Dallas is now 2-2 for the season and prepared to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers next week in the AT&T Stadium. And for all the latest on Sooner sports, be sure to check out Sooner Sports Pad tonight. Carson Williams is in here with a preview. Carson?
Thanks, Tori. We have quite a show in store for you tonight. Some members of the Sooners National Championship softball team visit the studio. We'll have an inside look at the College Football Playoff Committee and how it works. And you can see it live tonight on Fox College Sports Central. And, of course, you can catch the replay tomorrow at 5 just after our newscast right here on OU TV. Tori, back to you.
Thanks, Carson. And if you ever think about doubting Russell Westbrook, just don't. Westbrook silenced all rumors and Thunder fans' fears Friday when he signed a max deal with Oklahoma City. Friday was also Cupcake or Kevin Durant's birthday, whatever you want to call him. Coincidence? On Sunday, Russell addressed fans before the blue and white scrimmage. He said, "I told y'all I liked it here in that $205 million extension deal. I bet he really likes that too." And Sunday, the Chargers played in their stadium but did not have the home field advantage. The Eagles fans traveled in numbers and came out loud and proud. Guys, that is Phillies fans rocking the StubHub Center with "Let's Go Eagle" chants.
LA, great fans.
They really are. And I don't know if y'all have seen this yet, but they just announced that the kickoff is normally 11 a.m. for OU Texas. They moved it back to 2:30.
I like that.
Well, thank you very much, Tori.
Get some more sleep.
And still to come on OU Nightly, a couple literally born to be together. Stay with us.
I'm Taitum Wilson recapping tonight's top story. Investigators are still scrambling at the crime scene in Las Vegas and trying to uncover more information about gunman Stephen Paddock. The death toll stands at 58, while at least 515 have been injured. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Taitum. Thanks for watching OU Nightly, brought to you by Gaylord College at the University of Oklahoma.
We'll see you back here tomorrow night, live at 4:30.
Have a great evening.
Good night.